Hi, Jeff Holton here from Big Planet Small World, hosted at jeffholton.com. Big Planet Small World, hosted at jeffholton.com. Today is May 21st, 2012, and it is a monumental day. Tonight, SpaceX will attempt once again to become the first commercial company to successfully launch a capsule to dock with the International Space Station. They did try it a few days ago. I was there on scene to see that attempt. It was an aborted launch, and I actually wanted to follow up a little bit on that and let you know what happened that day and what we can expect to see in the coming days. The first thing I wanted to mention, people have been asking me, okay, so you traveled all the way up to the Kennedy Space Center to see this. Were you disappointed when it didn't happen? And the answer to that is a little. I was a little disappointed, but I got to see a launch abort at the Kennedy Space Center, and I've never seen that before. The other thing is I spent a full day and a half there, and I saw some really neat stuff that I will recap in another post that has nothing to do with this, but I'll give you a teaser and let you know that there are still space shuttles on site, and I'll let you know a little bit about those. The second thing I wanted to mention is that this was a test, and a test. The purpose of a test is to learn things, to learn from our mistakes, to observe, and to find out what we can do to improve. When engineers do a test, they're trying to figure out how can we do this better. And in that sense, the test was successful. And actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between success and failure. And I think the CEO of SpaceX says it a lot better than me. Here's a little clip from Gwynne Shotwell that will explain to you my feelings on the matter.
This is not a failure. We aborted with purpose. It would be a failure if we were to have lifted off with an engine trending in this direction.
So the abort was caused by something called an overpressure condition, and I want to explain to you a little bit about what that means and why that happened. And basically, the pressure was too high in engine 5. There are 9 engines on the bottom of the Falcon 9 rocket, and the 5th one was working too hard. It's working harder than the others. Now imagine for a second if you're driving a car and one of your wheels is working a little bit harder than the others, you're going to have a problem. You're either going to blow out that tire or you're going to lose control of the vehicle. Problem. Now the next question is, what would cause an overpressure condition? And any of you who have taken high school chemistry can remember that if you have a constant volume, the size of the engine doesn't change, the size of the cup is the same, the space that it can take up stays the same, and your temperature increases, what happens to your pressure? Your pressure is going to increase as well. Why would the temperature increase? The speculation is that it was from too little fuel being injected in. Too little fuel. Now you think about that. Wait a second. Why would too little fuel cause that? Any of you who have ever barbecued in your backyard know perfectly well that you don't put the meat on right after you light the coals. What do? You wait until the coals have burned out and gone gray. Why? Because your temperature is at the highest at that point. So that's kind of what probably was going on here. There was too little fuel being injected into the engine, temperature skyrocketed, pardon the expression, and therefore the pressure increased as well. There is a computer that is responsible just for observing what the pressure on each engine is. The engines fire about 3 seconds before liftoff, so as you're listening to the countdown, you hear 5, 4, 3. At 3, the engines fire. For the next 2.5 seconds, that computer is making decisions that are way too fast for a human being to make. The computer is deciding, are all of these engines okay? And it said, no, on the 5th one, I'm not quite okay with this. The computer did its job. It turned everything off, and it was a human being then that said, okay, the computer chose to abort this mission at half a second from T0, and the engines were all shut down at that point. It took us a few hours in a press conference to figure out what exactly had happened, but that's what caused the abort. The next steps were to spend what they thought would be a few days to determine what went wrong and how to repair it. They actually made those repairs very quickly and found out that there was a valve that was partially faulty. They replaced the valve, and they accepted the next possible launch date of tonight, of May 22nd at 3:44 a.m. Florida time, or for those of us who are on the West Coast, that'll be just after midnight our time. I'll start broadcasting for that launch. The other thing that I thought was noteworthy that they learned from this is they ran a number of simulations over the past few days to see what would have happened if they had proceeded with the launch. And it looks like it would have been no problem at all. So yes, I find that a bit more disappointing again. But again, it's probably better when you're launching a rocket. You know, you all drive your cars. Does the check engine light ever come on and you think, well, you know, I can ignore this for a few days? Probably best not to do that when you're dealing with your rocket that you're trying to put into orbit. So I think it's a good thing that they scrubbed the mission. I don't consider it a failure. And I do think that tonight is looking very positive. The weather in Florida is cooperating. The countdown is looking good. The vehicle's been repaired. And I think we're really good to go with a Falcon 9 liftoff of the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station. You can start tuning in by watching my Facebook account, my Twitter feed, or my Google Plus account for the links I'll be posting so that you can join a bunch of us who are gathering together to watch this launch attempt again. Met a lot of people back there, and I'm really looking forward to once again finding out that it may be a big planet that we've got to go around, but it's a really small world. It's about the people. See you later.